Hi there, it's Tara Bianca with Be Light Transformative Therapy. And today I want to talk about slow breathing, but in a different way than I have in the past. Normally, I'm emphasizing slow breathing as a critical aspect of functional breathing, with a ton of wonderful benefits, not least of which includes reduced anxiety and an increased sense of inner calm. But maybe you are one of those people who actually gets more anxious when you try to slow down your breathing. If that sounds like you, then you'll be super interested in today's video. Let's jump in. We always hear that slow breathing is so good for helping to reduce anxiety and stress, that it helps to downregulate the nervous system and prepare us for rest and recovery. And that's all true. But like most things in life, there are always shades of gray. This is definitely not a black and white issue. If you are someone who truly suffers with chronic anxiety, panic disorder, extreme stress, or insomnia, which can all be related, then you may actually feel an increase in your anxiety when you start to slow down your breathing. Why? Well, let's take a look at a physiological loop that many people suffering with anxiety get stuck in. There's an event that makes you anxious. And maybe that begins as a mental preoccupation, but there's no thought or emotion, behavior or belief that can exist within you without causing some type of physiological response. So what is that response that typically accompanies an anxious thought? Well, one of the first things to be affected is your breath. You may not even realize it, but your breath will start to speed up and become more shallow. And as it does so, two main consequences follow. Number one, you no longer get optimal gas exchange, which means you are sacrificing oxygen uptake and delivery, including to vital areas like your brain and your heart. And number two, you initiate a stress response in the body. The lack of oxygen and the looming sympathetic response sends a constant signal of distress to your brain, which then feeds back to you as increased anxiety. The longer this perpetuates, the more you get stuck in chronic hyperventilation, poor oxygenation, vasoconstriction, increased blood pressure, constricted airways, difficulty breathing, difficulty sleeping, moodiness, and an impending sense of danger. Your anxiety feeds your dysfunctional breathing, feeds your anxiety, and on and on. So then the big question is, wouldn't slowing down your breathing finally end the cycle? Well, in some cases, yes. But if your anxiety and chronic hyperventilation have been persisting for a long time, months or even years, then you've also most likely developed a huge reduction in your CO2 tolerance. Because of the chronic hyperventilation that often accompanies anxiety, you've been blowing off way too much CO2 for months or even years. And consequently, your body has adapted to a new baseline CO2 level, which is much lower than the average person's. If the average person has a CO2 level of about 40 millimeters of mercury pressure, maybe your new baseline CO2 level has dropped to the low 30s instead, somewhere between 36 and 38 millimeters of mercury pressure. Even though that doesn't sound like a huge difference, remember that your body is incredibly sensitive to even a change of 1 to 2 millimeters of mercury pressure. And the moment you start working to regain your CO2 tolerance, for example, by slowing down your breathing, your body is going to interpret that as something stressful, and it's actually going to stimulate more breathing. For the person whose CO2 tolerance is low, slow breathing can feel like absolute suffocation. It can feel intolerable and scary. Instead of stimulating a relaxation response, it can trigger a stress response, throw you right back into your comfort zone of breathing too much or chronic hyperventilation, which then further enhances your anxiety. For this person, slowing down the breath and learning to breathe less are still going to be a main part of the answer, but the approach needs to be a little bit different. If this is you, I want you to know that you are not alone and that this is a very common response that happens when you first start trying to retrain your breathing. For you, instead of simply trying to slow your breathing down, which may feel near impossible, I would highly recommend starting with a series of mini breath holds multiple times per day. I made a video a few months back demonstrating this exact exercise, which you can find right here, and I'll also link to it in the video description. This is an awesome exercise for slowly starting to help you rebuild your CO2 tolerance and reduce your breathing without feeling so scary so that you can finally start to get out of that cycle of anxiety. I hope that this exercise is helpful for you and that it gets you the results that you're looking for. If you do try out those mini breath holds, please let me know how it goes. And also, if you really needed to hear the message in this video tonight, also please let me know that. It's really nice to know which videos are offering value to the community. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe to my channel. Also, you can go ahead and hit that notification bell so that you can be notified every time I release a new video. If you're interested in really understanding your breath and how it affects your performance and your quality of life, then please check out my 4-week breath bootcamp, which I offer on a rotating schedule. You can follow the link that's on your screen right now, or you can find the link in the video description. And if you're interested in a totally free breath training, please check out my Breath Basics 6-Day Challenge, which you can sign up for today by going to the link you see on your screen or by clicking the link on the end screen or in the video description. And lastly, a big shout out of gratitude to all of my current sponsors who have been generous enough to donate to my channel. If you are ever in a position to make a small financial donation, please consider visiting my Buy Me a Coffee page. I've included that link as well in the video description. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.